Hey, good morning, and a cool morning here in South Florida. Have an opportunity to talk to my audience again. You know, we have a lot of questions coming in, and I took this question. You know, a lot of people been asking when to change your entrance reducer. So this morning, it's a beautiful morning here in South Florida, West Palm Beach. It's about 62 degrees. Nice day. So now is the time for some changes in the bee yard. You know, the guys up north, they've already started that from September. So yesterday we kind of got our first cool front to pass through. Got up yesterday morning, the temperatures were in the high 60s. And so this morning it's a little bit cooler, but I'm already ahead of the game, you know, because this is why I share this stuff with my subscribers. Uh, there's a couple types of entrance reducers. I have a couple of them in my hand right here, and that's what we are going to discuss today. When do I need to adjust or change my entrance reducer? So there are many kinds of entrance reducers. So right here I have in my hand an inch and a half size reducer, and you have this on both ends. And here I have one with that same size. And then on this end, you have about a 2.5 inch. And there's going to be different times when you need to install these. And then I have a 4 inch, a big one here. And then you have that same inch and a half. And you can make them whatever size you want. All you need is a saw, and you can open up that to the size that you want. And another interesting thing I found out is that if the hole is too small for the colony, the bees will actually chew away at this and make it bigger. So if you notice your bees right here hanging out, chewing away at the wood, that means that that entrance is too small. So we have many different size and brands of entrance reducers. So these are the ones that I'm going to discuss. That's what I'm holding in my hand. Now I just changed mine's actually about, I want to say, maybe a week ago. So I realized that the temperatures drop is no longer in the 90s, you know. So what I did is I put up my water feeders that were in the front entrance, and you can see the back of my area here where the front of my hive is. If you look, all my water bottles are all gone away from my hives, and I have actually changed the entrance reducers to these. I went from a wide open bottom board to entrance reducers. None of the small ones though, because my colonies are big and I don't experience much robbing at all. But, you know, like I say, as a joke, I try to teach my bees the 10 commandments, and the eighth commandment says, Thou shalt not steal. So I don't experience much robbing going on in my bee yard. Boy, I'm just thinking, wouldn't that be nice if the whole world could just keep that eighth commandment, Thou shalt not steal? Man, we wouldn't need security systems. We wouldn't need car alarms. We wouldn't need burglar alarms. We wouldn't need surveillance cameras. Just think about that. That is just so amazing, just keeping that one commandment. But anyway, we're here to talk about beekeeping. That was just a thought that crossed my mind. So, for the new beaks that's wondering, you know, when is the time to change the entrance reducers? So, here we had a nice cool snap that comes through. So I'll show you what I just went from. Now I just went from this. This is a screen inner cover. And what happens is down here in South Florida, it gets real hot. So I'll take my inner cover out, the solid one with the little hole. I don't have one here with me, but I'll put one up on the picture in the video so you'll see what I'm talking about. I just changed that one on. Well, I just put that one on and I took this one off. Now, if you look at this, it has these boards that the telescopic cover, they sit on, and then you see the part with the screen is here. And then so the cover rests on here, and you have that little gap right here. These little gaps right here, that's where the hot air will come out. Now in the summer, the bees already keep the inside of the hive really hot, about 95 to 97 degrees. I might be off a little bit. And so what happens is in the summer, when it's another 95 degrees outside, it gets really hot in your hive and you need to disperse that hot air. So what I do is I change all my hives to the screen inner cover so they can vent. And what'll happen, the bees will propolize this at the edge. If you see right here, they'll start to propolize these corners right here. So if you see a lot of propolis here, don't be surprised. They'll seal it because they know how much light they want to come in the hive. So if you see propolis there, don't worry, they'll leave the middle open. And this helps down here in South Florida in the summertime. So what I'll do, I'll put this on, I want to say round about the ending of May going into June when I know the summer is coming. And I'll take these off when the weather cools down. Like right now, we just got the first cool snap. So I don't want the heat leaking out of the hive now. So what I want now is the bees need to store that heat because the outside temperature is colder and they need to keep that heat in there. So what I do is I put the original inner cover back on it. That's like it's more solid and it has a little hole in the middle, an oval looking hole in the middle of it, but the rest of it is solid. That will keep the heat inside of the hive along with reducing the entrance to something like this or maybe a 3-inch. What I got on mine is a 4-inch. Some has 3-inch. I reduced it to that. Now you don't want to put these on nucleus hives or hives that's real small because the entrance might be too big for them to defend if robin starts. You would want to put something like that on a nucleus hive. So this is what I just took off of my hives. And these are the things that you have to pay attention to and know how to take care of your bees. You need to give them this when they need it. And when they don't need it, you need to take it off of the hive. Just like the honey supers. You know, you have to know when the nectar flow is on the way, you put your honey supers on. When the flow is over, you take your supers off. But down here in South Florida, we usually leave one super on because the blooming, it may slow down, but it never stops. Like up north, once the snow hits, all the blooms are done. You're not getting any blooms. Well, we don't get snow down here, so we do still have some blooms for the bees to go out and forage, but it's not near enough that they need. So sometimes you have to step in to feed the bees. So the other thing I wanted to talk about this morning, and I'll show you my entrance reducers here on the hive when I'm done. So the other thing I learned, now this is something that I learned, but I'm always a guy that thinks. So I had a plan B, and you know, accidents do happen. So what happened is I dropped my oxalic acid vaporizer, blah, the little nipple that goes in the hole, broke off. So then now I'm thinking, oh, my bees need a treatment. So what happened, I just did some mite treatments, and sad to tell you, this first hive here, which is my best doing hive, they had 12 mites. And I was like, oh, wow, that's way. So I gave them a shot before I went on a trip 2 weeks ago. I just got back 2 weeks ago here. We went to Jamaica, and unfortunately, when you hear Jamaica, you think about Melissa. Hats off to the people down there. We're praying for them. We do have some friends and relatives that live down there, and it's so sad that they got devastated. But anyway, we took a trip down there and we came back, and I treated them before I left to go on the trip. And then when I came back, I said, oh, I'm going to give him a treatment right away when I got back. So got my oxalic acid vaporizer ready, got it heated up 365, and I'm walking out, boom, it fell out my hand on the ground. And I'm like, oh crap, how did that happen? So I picked it up, not realizing the nipple was broke, and I dropped my tablets in there. I went to punch it up to the thing, and I'm like, oh, where's my nipple? I go back where I dropped it, and there it is, nipples on the ground. But here is the backup plan. Now, this is a cheapie oxalic acid vaporizer. And thank God when I was buying the other one, I saw this one. It was like $59. But the only thing is this doesn't have a temperature. You got to attach a propane tank or butane if you want to use. But I'll let you know propane burns hotter than butane. Now, the only thing is you need to heat this up to a certain temperature. And my temperature that I use is 365. And so there's no way that you're going to get this at a steady temperature. So what I'll do is I'll try to get it between 365 and like 400 in that area. And I'll tell you something about this. Don't put the tablets in here. This does not work with the tablet. This is designed for the powder. Now, my vaporizer, I use the tablets, and ask me how I know. When I grab this, I say, oh, the tablet should work. And I dropped them in there, and I saw nothing come out that end. Just a little bit of steam and some liquid just poop, 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 poop. And I was like, oh, no, this thing doesn't work. Piece of crap. And then I had some powder, and something just told me, hold it out, put the powder, and see if it works. I put the powder in it. Pooh, nice big cloud comes out. I say, okay, there's the problem. So the way to figure the temperature on this is you need a laser temperature. You turn on your gas, let it heat up, and then you point your laser at it. And when it gets close to your temperature, then you can start heading to the bee yard. You can actually adjust the temperature by turning this knob clockwise or counterclockwise, and it'll cut the flame back. So this I paid about $59 for, and it's helping me out right now until I get a replacement knob. I ordered a knob. I found it at Laura Bee's for $19, and I already took it apart and took the part that broke off. The threads actually broke off inside, and I had to get this tool to twist the threads out. Got that all done, just waiting on the part to show up. So it's always good to have a plan B. Whatever you're doing in the bee yard, always make sure you have a plan B. So this saved me here for my bees. So what I'm doing with them, I'm doing the oxalic acid treatment. And so you do 4 grams every 4 days for 5 repetitions. Me, I'm going to do 7 because my mites were pretty high. I want to give them a good knockdown. Or what I can do is I can actually use the Formic Pro now because it's not 85 degrees. But I already took the bees apart, and I didn't want to go in there again to pull the queen excluder and put it on there. So I just say, you know what? I'll give them this, do the 7 repetitions. And when I do another mite count, if my mites are not down, I'll just go ahead and use the Formic Pro on them. And then I also use the Apivar Life, which is another good treatment for them. So fellow beekeepers and newbies, this is just some good education that I want to share with you. You know, South Florida environment is just totally different from the rest of the world because they go through a brutal winter sometimes and they have to start packing in the bees. Down here, it's different. And a lot of times you watch YouTube videos and you'll watch the beekeeping, you'll waste like, well, I won't say waste. You'll spend 40, 30 minutes watching a video only to realize like, hey, I'm in South Florida. It's always hot. What do you do down here? And that's what I went through for a lot. I kept watching all these videos and I'm like, they're talking about up north. They're talking about double brood chambers and all of these wrapping the hives and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, we don't do that in Florida. It's always warm. So that was something that drove me to make these videos for South Florida. So the beaks, the new beaks that's coming on board, new beekeepers, you have questions and you'll spend a lot of time on YouTube and you don't really see a lot of videos for South Florida. You'll see beekeepers in Florida, but guess what? They are North Florida. Now we're in South Florida, down like where Miami area, Broward County, Palm Beach County. We're not even in the central part of the state. So the environment is a little different. Like right now, this morning it's 60 degrees here. Man, up North Florida, it's gotta be like close to 40 at the top of the peninsula. And then when you get down to the middle, it's probably like 50, 49 degrees, and we at 60 down here. So as you see, I hope these videos are helping you. And if you have any more comments or questions, please drop a comment, like and subscribe. Every time you like the videos, what YouTube does is they find more new beekeepers in South Florida so this video can be passed along to them. So thank you again for watching. Today is October the 31st, and it's a beautiful, beautiful 62 degrees in West Palm Beach. And as I always say, peace, love, joy, and happiness. Now, I told you at the end of the video, I was going to let you see my entrance. If you see, I went from a wide open bottom board to a 4-inch because this is my most biggest and healthiest hive. And then if you come over here, you'll see my middle hive. And this is the one I grafted off of this hive with that super laying queen. And then over here is another one right here. And they all have 4-inch because my colonies are nice and healthy. They're not doing bad at all. They're not lacking for population. So if we walk back through here, I'll take you to my other hive over here. So if you can see that, so I just went from all open bottom boards to my entrance reducers. And now is the time to do that. When you get that first cold snap, you want to go ahead and change those so the bees can maintain the heat in the colony. Because remember, at 50 degrees, they'll start to cluster. And so you want to help them out. You want to help them keep the heat in the hive, and you want to give them as small entrance reducer as possible based on the size of the colony. So if you have big colonies, you want at least a 4 to 3-inch opening. Unless you're experiencing robin, then you might want to put a robin screen on there. And I'll put up a picture of a robin screen, the new one that they have that you can use. All right. Well, thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day.